show right now.
Hi, it's Rochelle Hughes.
Hi, I'm Astro. And I'm Alex from UB40.
Hello, it's Amanda Holmes here.
Thursday breakfast on Source FM with Benjamin Makin. Yeehaw! Good morning. Thank you very much indeed for tuning into Source FM this morning for what? Your Thursday morning science and celebrity breakfast show with me, Ben Makin. As always, this show is brought to you by the University of Exeter. We've got a bunch of celebs for you today. Can I just tell you, please, straight up, we've got a bunch of them. And as always, if you want me to get that special song on for you, I will happily do so. Just text me directly on 07860 670 917. That's 07860 670 917. Of course, your standard message rates will apply there. If you've got me on Facebook, you can message me there as well. Find me, Ben the Radio Guy. That's my username, yeah? Just pop that in and you'll find me. Pop me some messages and I'll get your songs on. But who we got on the show for you? Well, we've got, a number of dangerously handsome men today. And I know what you're thinking, but Ben, the most handsome of them all was the host. Oh, thank you. We've got the fantastic Rylan Clark-Neal. First up this morning. Now, he's teamed up with PayPal. He went out onto the streets with his mate Dean, and they were basically trying to predict what people were buying for Christmas, and it turned out, well, oh dear, we didn't do very well, actually, as the British public, because actually he managed to predict pretty much what everyone was buying for Christmas. So basically, PayPal is trying to encourage people to try out independent and smaller retailers this year. And I think that's quite a cool message, Try and support what's around you. Go local, basically. So PayPal teamed up with Rylan, as I said, and Rylan is on the show to chat all about it today. We chat about Christmas presents. I'm sorry, we are getting festive. If you're a bit worried that we're getting festive and it's not December yet, I can only apologise, because this morning, I'm going to start with this as well, because then we'll get it over with. I did play a Christmas song last week, but I'm going to play a couple more today. I'm really sorry about that. If that's the kind of thing that you're not keen on, I'm sorry. We're going to have to do this. Rylan up first. Fantastic. Now, he finished in 5th place on X Factor in 2012, went on to Celeb Big Brother in 2013. He won that. Yeah, of course he did. He's awesome. He's had numerous presenting roles since then. Actually, on This Morning, he presented a game show called The Wave, which was quite hilarious, and if you caught that. And actually, soon, he's taking over a radio show on BBC Radio 2, so that starts in January. So, fantastic guy, Rylan. Worth keeping an eye on him if you haven't come across him before. We've also got a space scientist on the show this morning. That's Dr. Suzanne Imber from the University of Leicester. She's the Associate Professor in Space Physics there. And she won 2017's BBC Two TV show, Astronauts. Do you have what it takes? So yes, Suzanne does have what it takes to be an astronaut. Pretty cool. And my claim to fame, and I was saying this last night on the radio as well, actually, but my claim to fame is that I know 2 people from that show. So Suzanne, of course, because she's on the show today, but also Tim Gregory. We had Tim on the show a while back now, chatting about meteorites. He's a great guy as well, but he was on the show, and he was the runner-up on that show. So, yeah, that's pretty cool, right? I know a couple of astronauts, basically. Does that make me cool? Not really, does it? Anyway, that's fantastic. We'll get Suzanne on the show a bit later. She's going to be talking a little bit about, encouraging people to get interested in the space industry. So she's actually currently... Well, among other things, she's currently researching Mercury's magnetosphere using data from NASA's Messenger mission, the first spacecraft to orbit the planet Mercury. That's pretty awesome, isn't it? So she will be on the show. She's actually going to be talking a little bit about Tim Peake's mission again as well, because Tim Peake's spacecraft is actually making a tour of the UK, so you can actually go and see the spacecraft that Tim Peake returned to Earth from the International Space Station in. So this is pretty awesome. So Suzanne will explain all a bit later. Now, we also have, if space isn't your cup of tea, then surely wine is, because come on. So we've actually got the star from Love Island last year, Camilla Thurlow. Camilla's on the show to chat to me all about wine today. She's doing it with Co-op. We're going to be chatting about wine. So you can't go wrong with wine, can you? Well, if you can, don't worry, because we've also got the fantastic. And again, I know I kind of overuse this phrase, but this man really is dangerously handsome. And that is Joe Wicks, a.k.a. The Body Coach. You might have come across his cooking and fitness books pretty much in every major supermarket, actually. So you might have come across them already. He does a bunch of kind of tutorials on YouTube as well, fitness tutorials, workouts, lessons and things like this. So he's a great guy to follow if you're interested in that kind of thing, looking to get in shape, whatever. Joe's your man there. And he's actually teamed up with a recipe box company, as he believes it helps his clients get in shape. More on that a bit later, but Joe is on the show, so this is pretty awesome. Also, I do get a little special message from my partner Steph, because I couldn't not, because unfortunately for me, well, I suppose it's inevitable, but Steph is a bit of a fan of Joe, because well, Joe is quite an attractive man. I'm going to have to admit that. So he is on the show. And we get a little special message of Steph out there as well. So a bit of a shout out this morning too. And if we have time, I'd also love to get on this morning. I've got the barman from First Dates chatting about cocktails. So, if that interests you, I might try and get that on this morning as well. A bit more science as well. It's totally up to you, You text me and tell me, you want more science, you want more celebs, either one. You just let me know, because this show is for you, okay? So you just have to let me know. And, of course, as I said at the beginning, if you want a song, I'm going to get it on for you. It's as simple as that. So I'm going to kick off this morning. I'm going to invite, first of all, the fantastic Rylan Clark-Neal, I think. It's about time, isn't it? About time for me to be quiet. Thursday breakfast on Source FM.
Hi, Ben.
Hi, Ben.
Hello. Thanks for chatting to me today. Really appreciate it, guys. Awesome to have you here. And Rylan, just before we start, a quick congrats on your new BBC Radio 2 show. That's going to be awesome in January. Nice one.
Thank you so much.
So let's talk about, predictable Christmas presents. I think this is something which probably people are pretty familiar with already, right? First up, my worst present is socks. I'm going to have to say that to you both, first of all.
Yeah, I think we share that. I think we echo that. It's the thing, with, like I say, I've teamed up with PayPal, and I cannot believe the research that's been done on this, but literally 63% of shoppers admit to buying the exact same gift for people every single year. And only 22% of people that get gifts say they're actually surprised on Christmas morning, which I think is actually quite sad.
It is quite sad.
It is. It sort of defeats the point, doesn't it, a little bit, if it's not a surprise?
Right. It does, and that's what we want to change this Christmas. So, like I say, we've been out on the street talking to people, and we've decided to try and challenge people to think outside the box when it comes to Christmas. So, it doesn't mean you have to go to a million shops. You can do all of your shopping online, but we're challenging people to look at different outlets. So, when you go online and you're searching for a type of gift, rather than stick with like the top 5 big stores and the one-stop shops that we all know and love, let's be fair, maybe go to page like 3, 4, 5 of the search engine and have a little look at some more independent websites that have got personalised stuff and, different stuff that you wouldn't be able to get in them big high retailers. Maybe even local shops like in Cornwall and stuff like that you can find available online. And find something completely different that you wouldn't normally buy someone for Christmas. And if you check out using PayPal, you are completely protected as well, because you've got the Buy Protect. So if something does turn up, because we all do get scared buying online, I know I do as well, especially from websites I've not used before. Sure. But we all get scared of what if it doesn't turn up, or if it does turn up and it's not right, how am I going to, get rid of it and send it back? You're always protected with that.
I think that's a really nice point as well, to kind of support local retailers by doing this too, because that's just, everyone can go to the big brands, can't they?
Definitely, and I think we're all quite slaves to it as well. I know I am a lot, and obviously since I've been doing this, I have started, it literally is as easy as going to page 3 on the search engine rather than looking at page 1, isn't it, Alison?
Building on the point about the search engine, it's not just about kind of going to page 2 or 3, but also instead of just typing in gift for mum, your tip, wasn't it, was just to think about some words that remind you of the person, just type those in with the word gift, and you get all sorts of really innovative things really popping out of the
and it's so
search
easy.
Engine. Yeah.
So easy to do.
And it makes actually shopping enjoyable as well as, and not a chore, which I think is also something to bear in mind. And we've got a whole month before the big day, right?
Not long.
So
Exactly.
we've got a month. We've got a month to get inspired. So again, we're just trying to encourage people to really think a bit outside the box, think about smaller retailers, be willing to sort of try something that may be a brand that you've not heard of. It might be from overseas, it might be a UK brand, it might be a small retailer. If it accepts PayPal, you can be really confident that you're covered. And you can, you've got support to branch out and do something a little bit different, a bit more magical this Christmas.
Oh, that's fantastic. Are you both well and truly feeling festive yet, or is it going to take you a bit of time still?
Oh yeah, we're both sat here in woolly jumpers.
Oh, Christmas jumpers and
Christmas trees around. You can hear the tinsel stuff rubbing it on the mic.
That's perfect.
It's so Christmassy.
I do love it. I do love when the red cups come out and I'm like, right, I'm ready to go. I'm ready. It's Christmas. Christmas is coming. The Christmas ads are on TV. It's
Alison's got a lovely bauble earrings as well.
Oh, lovely.
Thinking about.
Well, it's suddenly got cold as well, hasn't it? So that always makes it feel a bit more Christmassy. Yeah.
It is. I was wrapped up with my coat and my woolly scarf and hat this morning.
Yeah, that's it. Bit of mulled wine in the evenings as well, and everything's perfect in the world for me.
Happy days.
So, Rylan, coming back to And he went out on the streets with your mate Dean, didn't you?
I did, yeah. So Dean is a psychic medium. We went out on the streets and we were talking to shoppers about their shopping habits and buying Christmas gifts, and it was really, really fun. You can check it all out on my social channels and on PayPal's as well. But we were just talking to people about, again, what we've just said, thinking outside the box. And Dean would sort of channel the person's buying for that we're talking to and tell them what they want. And 9 times out of 10, he was bang on the button. It was crazy. So it was really, really fun. It was just a fun day out in London, and it was lovely meeting people and having a chat with people. And they made our day as much as we made theirs, I think.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'll have to check that one out. Thanks for that, Rylan. Awesome. And the question is, guys, I'm going to test you, put you to the ultimate test now, because what if you had to buy me a Christmas present? What would you get me? And it has to be different and weird.
Probably get you a ticket to London, and we'd take you on a little night out and show you how we do it up this end for after down in Cornwall. Well. But then we'd expect the same back.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah, you guys are more than welcome in Cornwall. I can give you a luxury pasty. You can have a look.
Oh, stylish.
I'm on the train.
Exactly, I'm there straight away.
I won't force you down the mines, don't worry about it. Well, fantastic. Well, thanks to you both. Thanks for your time so far. I wonder as well, could we get a cheeky song request on the show today to accompany you both? What do you think? Can we get you a song?
Do you know what? I'm going to give this one to Alison. I think she's had such a long morning. She deserves a song of her choice.
Well,
Alison,
I am feeling quite Christmassy, so I'm going to go to the dark side and ask her, do they know it's Christmas?
Yeah, all right.
Sorry.
And then after that, if you accidentally play a Spice Girls track, I'll be happy.
Okay. There might be some kind of mix-up in the scheduling. Yeah, I see.
Oh, that's me.
Well, thank you very much to you both. And do both of you have a final Christmas message for our listeners before you go, or is that daft? Do you have a little Christmas?
Don't buy a stupid gift.
Don't be predictable. Branch out. Get something personal. Get inspired and dare to be different.
Well, thanks both. Have a great day. Thanks for chatting to us.
Take care, Ben.
Very
See you. Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Okay. Well, anyway, I'm going to pop on the next interview for you this morning, and I'd like to, perhaps delve into a bit of science now. But don't worry, I know what you're thinking. Oh, no, not science. But I was loving the tunes, Ben. It's all right. We'll get some tunes on again for you. Don't worry about that. But first of all, I'd really like to invite now Dr. Suzanne Imber. Now, as I said at the beginning of the show, Suzanne actually won 2017's BBC Two TV show called Astronauts, Do You Have What It Takes? She won it. She's currently, among other things, she's researching Mercury's magnetosphere using data from NASA's Messenger mission, which is the first spacecraft to orbit the planet Mercury. Pretty amazing stuff, really. She's talking a little bit as well about Tim Peake's mission, because Tim Peake's spacecraft that he returned to Earth in from the International Space Station, of course, this spacecraft is actually touring the UK, so you can go and see this spacecraft. So she's really, really interested, Suzanne is, in interesting and basically getting kids fascinated, particularly kids fascinated in space, and adults, of course. Basically just get interested in the space industry, and I suppose particularly for students and young people, think about the space industry as potential career pathways. So here's Suzanne. That's enough chat from me. Here she is. This is the fantastic Dr. Suzanne Imber, space physicist. Congratulations, Suzanne, on your winning the series on BBC. You must know Tim Gregory, actually.
I do know Tim Gregory very well, yes.
He's in my PhD cohort. He's a great guy.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, fab. Oh, wow. So what does that mean? You're a third year?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And we're in the of scary time of PhD.
Third year is tough. Very tough. Yeah, good luck.
Oh, thanks, yeah. Well, maybe it'll be all right. We'll see. Anyway, yeah, absolute pleasure to have you on the show today, talking about, helping inspire the next generation of people to get interested in space. Of course, Tim Peake's spacecraft's on tour again, isn't it? It's moving again, which is awesome. Could we give people a bit of background on Tim Peake's mission again, for those of us who might have not forgotten all about it, but might not have had it kind of in the forefront of our minds for a little while? Could you kind of give us a quick background on that?
Yeah, so Tim Peake went up a few years ago to the International Space Station, and he did lots of exciting experiments in space. For example, he ran a marathon. He did hundreds of somersaults in quick succession to see what happened to his inner ear. So lots of nice things for the kids to see, but he also performed scientific experiments while he was there as well. And when he came back on a Soyuz capsule, which is a very, very small capsule into which are packed 3 people for his return to the Earth. And that's the exhibit that we're talking about today.
Difficult for people to imagine, I'm sure, that journey back. I mean, it must be quite terrifying being trapped in such a small enclosed space, hurtling at hundreds of miles an hour.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think what's particularly fun about the exhibition that we're talking about today is that people have a chance to actually go up close to the capsule itself. And there are windows in the capsule. You can have a look and see the environment that these three people were in for their return journey. And then alongside the capsule, we also have a virtual reality experience. So you can put on the Gear website, you can put on the Gear headset, and you can hear Tim Peake's voice as he describes his journey back alongside sort of a visual representation of his return to the Earth. So I think it's going to make it quite real to people as they go and watch the exhibit.
Absolutely fantastic. And just so people are aware, where are they able to catch this exhibition?
The exhibit, as you say, has been moving around the UK. It's currently in Cardiff, and it will be there until February at the Science Museum. And after February, you can find it in Belfast. That's where it's moving on to next.
Fantastic. I love this research that's gone alongside this release today as well, because this has got to be the coolest alien ever, fictional, of course, unfortunately. But Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy is kids' favourite alien. They would like to meet Groot. Who doesn't want to meet Groot?
Yeah, that's their favourite. And the adult's favourite is Superman.
Yeah.
So, yes, absolutely. But actually, the research that Samson commissioned is interesting because it tells us also about the enthusiasm of kids for space and science, but also their knowledge level is quite high. And actually, compared to the adults, the children actually outperform the adults on quite a few of the scientific questions. Yeah. And that really is highlighting how engaged children are with space.
That's fantastic, and it's so important, isn't it? I mean, to keep the the space industry going, we absolutely need children to be really fascinated by it, and I can see why they are, because it is fascinating and it's very core, isn't it? It really is a fascinating thing to be involved with. I'm sure you can tell us more about this because you're right in there.
Yeah, absolutely right. So we launched the spacecraft to Mercury just 3 weeks ago. I've been using that mission to inspire children across the country to think about careers in space. Just really recognising that this business, this sector, is going to be increasing over the next few decades without a doubt. And there's a massive skills gap for scientists and engineers. There just aren't enough. We're not producing enough of people in these sectors. And so I see part of my job, as well as being a scientist, is to go and talk to young people about my job and my career and how much I love my job and what I do to try and enthuse them about becoming scientists. And this exhibit is exactly working in parallel with that. So the exhibit is designed so that young people can go and be inspired about the future of space travel and hopefully see that there's an opportunity for them to be involved in the future. Absolutely
fantastic. And Suzanne, just, because I'm just wondering whether people tune in and listening, because I know it would be easy for people to kind of totally forget about this area, thinking about, their futures and the future of their children and things. It might be easy to just completely forget that there's this fantastic area. And I'm assuming as well here that we're talking about, tons and tons of different potential things that they can get involved with in the area of space.
Yes, so I think a lot of people see the space industry as, you have to be a scientist necessarily to go and do that. But actually, if you think about what it takes to build and design spacecraft, we need people who, in the future, we're going to need people who are architects and space lawyers and people involved in business and advertising, as well as people designing pieces of spacecraft and advanced manufacturing capabilities, technicians. So actually, there's a whole broad range of careers you can have associated with the space industry, and I think it's important to highlight that as well. You don't just have to be a scientist. There's so much else out there.
And Suzanne, I'm just looking at this research again put forward by Samsung, and to go alongside the exhibit. And this is actually really interesting, because I can see an awful lot of kids actually are really optimistic about the potential for life out there in the universe. More so than adults, and I think that's something that everybody sees an immediate interest in that. I mean, where do you stand on that?
Yeah, so I think kids are really open-minded. I think children and young people are really open-minded. And so, yeah, they haven't, they've got the idea there could be life out there. I agree with them. I think that if we look at the universe, the billions of stars out there in the universe, when lots of adults were young, we hadn't discovered any planets around these other stars.
Sure.
We thought there were just stars out there. But over the last decade or two, we've discovered thousands of exoplanets, planets orbiting other stars. And that's really brought on a whole area of research where now it becomes clear that our sun and our solar system aren't that special, and there are planets just like ours orbiting other stars, and so of course it then becomes a reasonable suggestion that there could be life on those other planets as well. And children are fascinated by this idea of there being aliens out there. Absolutely.
Yes, fantastic. Well, especially if Groot's out there. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be out there. But
yeah, that's who they seem to really want to meet. So.
Who would you meet, Suzanne, if you could pick any fictional alien to meet? Who would you pick? That's the real question.
I would definitely pick Yoda.
Oh, of course.
If I could meet anyone, I would meet Yoda.
Well, he would have such sound advice for us, I can tell. Well, that's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, thanks, Suzanne. I mean, I really do think it's awesome that you come forward and encourage people to get involved with space. I'm just trying to think if there's anywhere online really that we could point listeners to think about this a little bit more.
Absolutely. Yeah, so if you want to find out a bit more about the museum, you can go to the Cardiff Science Museum website. If you want to find out a bit more and get a sneak preview of the exhibit, you can go to samsung.com/UK/space descent.
Fantastic. And Suzanne, this might be a bit of a daft question, but I'm just thinking for anybody out there who, even just, adults who don't necessarily have any training in science or anything and who, listen in and are really interested in space, is there anywhere obvious, and again, this might be a tough question to answer, so don't worry, but is there anywhere obvious that they could go to, begin reading up? Is there any kind of good books or good sources of information that you would recommend people head to read up a little bit on what's going on in the space industry or anywhere like that we can send them?
Yeah, certainly. So if you're interested in sort of missions and mission design and where we have spacecraft and where they're going and why, then I would advise you to go and have a look at the European Space Agency website or the NASA website, and they'll give you details about all the missions that have launched in the past, what they found out, their key discoveries, and some of the missions that are planned for the future as well.
Fantastic. Well, thanks very much, Suzanne. And the final question for you today, unless, of course, there is anything else that you would like to add, is, and it's come to the song request time. I'd love to give you a song choice. Is it going to be Bowie or is it going to be something different? That's the question.
Oh, does it have to be a space song?
It doesn't have to be. It can be whatever you want. I'm going to leave you to pick. It's totally up to you, Suzanne.
Okay, I'm going to pick a space song because I feel like I should, and I'm going to pick Ash, Girl from Mars.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you very much, Suzanne. Just double checking, actually, that you're all happy you're in. If there's anything else that you wanted to get across to our listeners
I think
today,
that's it. Thank you.
Okay, lovely. Well, thanks, Suzanne. Yeah, pleasure to talk to you today.
You're welcome. Pleasure to talk to you too. Good luck with your PhD.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we'll see if I manage it. We'll see. Cheers, Suzanne. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks again to Dr. Suzanne Imber. That was awesome chatting to you. Really pleased that you could make it on the show. Thank you very much for that. Now, coming up next then, I am going to have to take a little delve now into, well, what do you think? We could go both ways, really. We could go chat a bit about wines with Love Island's Camilla, which, kind of tempted to do that. Or, a bit different, but kind of along the same lines, we could go and chat to the barman from First Dates. I don't know, tough that, isn't it? Okay, here's Camilla.
My name's Camilla Thurlow. I was on Love Island last year. I don't really know what
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Is that all right?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Thanks, Camilla. Sorry to put you on the spot there. That was a bit mean of me. I might give you a warning. I was going to ask you for a song request today as well, but I warn you right now so you've got a bit of time to think. Because I don't want to be harsh 2 times.
I know exactly what I'd request.
Do you? Okay, that's all right then. You're fine. Do you want to get it over with? Do you want to give me the request first then?
Yeah, but I don't know if you'll play it. I don't know if it's
kind
of thing you'd want to play. But
no, it's
but my
fair.
song request will always be "Africa" by Toto.
Oh my, yes! What a song! It is amazing. Okay, well that's coming on straight after this. I can promise you that. Massive fan of Toto. You know what? They've got. I'm not going to start talking about Toto. I'm too obsessed with them. Anyway, let's chat about wine. Because I tell you what. One thing which you could definitely appreciate with some wine is a bit of Toto. Imagine Toto and wine. That's perfect pairing there for you.
I mean, that's literally my perfect evening in is a little glass of wine, Africa on the radio, and just a nice relax.
I'm just going to add one more thing, and that's a lava lamp, because for some reason I just love lava lamps.
Really?
They're
that's
really
so
nice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
used to have them a few years ago, right? And then they kind of went out of fashion. But then I just remembered them one day and I thought, oh, hang on, I need one of those. And then I went and got one, and now my nights consist of, nice music, bit of booze, and the lava lamp on. And honestly, you should try it. It's just so cool.
I suppose that's quite nice for the mood lighting front.
Exactly. It does set you in the right mood. It's perfect. And well, Camilla, let's chat a little bit about hopefully helping people out there think about wine, because I think it's one of those things, right? That, and I don't know where you stand on this, but I know for a fact that I'm a bit of a wine idiot. I'm afraid, nowhere near a connoisseur. I'm an idiot of wine, but I think a lot of people kind of find themselves in a position where they don't really know a lot about wine, and they kind of have a bit of trouble choosing wines, right?
Do you know what? I'm in exactly the same boat. I really didn't feel like I knew enough about wine, and I've always kind of felt a bit of pressure when I go to the wine aisle and not known how to pick. But the really good news is the co-op research has shown we're in good company, because apparently only 1 in 10 Brits feel like they know enough to make a strong decision when it comes to wine.
Yes.
So I found that very comforting. We are apparently all in the same boat, which is good news. Because, it is tricky, and I feel like if you don't know the terminology, even when you're looking at the labels, you're not necessarily sure what you're picking up. So the idea that they're going to have clearer labels which have terms that I understand is a big plus for me.
Yeah, that's awesome, because I can see here that kind of to go along with this research that the co-op went and did, they had this. I think this is pretty cool, actually. They had these fake labels, didn't they? And they wanted to see if people could pick them out. I particularly like the one about sushi, the one that pairs perfectly with sushi. That's great, that one. Gentle balance of sharp yet
so funny,
silky.
these spoof wine labels. But they do, I mean, they just ring true. Like, there's so many labels that I've read where I come away from it not having any idea what the wine will actually taste like. And obviously the main thing is that you want to know what you're expecting to buy, because I don't know about you, but I look forward to my glass of wine with dinner.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's horrible when you pick one and then you pour yourself a glass and it's a bit of a disappointment. Yeah.
I always do that, and I do that with kind of all alcohol as well. So even with things like beers, because obviously there's a lot of different beers you can get now, different microbreweries and things. But I always pick things that kind of I've got no idea what it's going to taste like. And I picked this thing called a sour ale the other day, and honestly, it was absolutely horrible. And the only reason I chose it is because the label was it was all a bit crazy, and it used a load of words which I had no idea what they meant. But I thought, this one sounds posh, I'll have this. And honestly, it was so bad. It was so bad.
Yeah, but then otherwise you get stuck in that trap of buying the same thing over and over again, don't you? Like, I am so guilty of that. And apparently, again, the research showed that so many people will just buy the same thing because it's that safe choice. But the thing is, I know what I like about that wine. If there was just something to indicate which wines would be similar, then I definitely want to branch out, because it's always lovely to try something new. So I think it is just that some of the terms that are used at the moment, I have no idea what to expect. Like, what is a meaty wine? I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that was the word voters most likely to put us off buying a bottle, right? Meaty was the worst word.
Yeah, exactly, and I can totally understand.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Why?
The 2 words that put me off wine the most, and that's alcohol-free. Can't be dealing with that.
Yeah, I do. I mean, there's obviously occasions where people are purchasing their wine based on the alcohol content, which is obviously very clear on the label, but you want all the other stuff as well. Like, I want to know what it's going to taste like, because it's such a treat. And, if you spent ages cooking a nice dinner, you want a nice wine to go with it. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's kind of like, to me, it kind of seems like it's more of a, making it more clear is more of like an invitation into that world, because of course not many people are kind of wine connoisseurs and understand everything, and it's kind of inviting you into it, isn't it? Because you've got to start from somewhere. You've got to kind of know what you're getting to even begin to appreciate wine properly, I suppose, as well.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, I've been picking up some really good tips this morning to help me with that, because there is a certain snobbery that's associated with the wine world, and you can feel like, I always get a bit worried when I buy a bottle of wine to take round to someone's house that they're going to have a look at it and be like, oh no, what did she purchase to you? But I found out that, number one, you can find out loads of information on the Co-op's wine website, but there's also an app called Vivino where basically you can take a picture of the label, and then other people have rated it, and you can read what actually people thought about it. And I just think that's such great. I totally hadn't thought about it, but the internet's such a great source of information. So that's definitely a very useful tip that I picked up this morning. And the other one that was brilliant, and I think I wish I'd thought of it before, but will be so useful for me, is when you buy a bottle of wine, if you like it, take a photo of it.
Sure.
My phone's going to be filled with selfies of me and wine bottles from now on.
Yeah, well, that's fine, isn't it? I mean, it's a good way of remembering, because, as you say, I think that point about the checking wines and checking what other people have said about the wine, that's a really good point, because obviously people do that all the time when you're buying something online, right? And people don't really think about it when you're in store, but there's no reason not to.
Exactly, and I think also in store, I'm the kind of person who feels a bit intimidated when I'm in the wine aisle. I always think the person next to me is a wine expert and is judging me for not being able to pick the right wine, and that's so not the case. But, I mean, it's been proven not to be the case by the research. They're more likely to be the same as you, trying desperately to pick one. You're both scared of each other. But I think definitely now I will actually ask the people working in store as well for their recommendations, rather than feel a bit worried about it. Because that's what you do in a restaurant, isn't it? You ask the kind of waiter to recommend something to go with your meal, and equally in store, you're looking for someone to give you a little bit of help and guidance. And the new labels are obviously going to be great for that. But also the staff are going to definitely have their own thoughts on which ones would be a good pick for you, and that's lovely to get someone else's opinion.
Yeah, I was going to say, because of course the guys in store that you talk to, of course they will know about the wine, so it's well worth using them to find out. Yeah, that's fantastic. I think it's a really nice message, basically, for people. Just don't feel intimidated. Just come and get involved. Come on, you can come. You don't have to kind of dart down the wine aisle. I definitely do that, actually. I basically wait till there's not many people there, and I'll just really quickly run. Okay, I want that one. I'll just go and grab it, and then just get out of there.
Yeah, I am exactly the same. I don't know why. It's just like the scariest aisle in the supermarket normally, but I feel a lot better about it now. This has been quite comforting, reading all of the information about how different people feel the same way, basically. They don't necessarily know what the terms mean either, so I feel quite comforted by it. I shall look forward to my wine buying experience from now on and not go under so much pressure.
Absolutely. And, I'm so ridiculous with things like that, because I kind of, once I pick something up, I feel really awkward about putting it back down. And this led me into big trouble once, because I picked up this bottle. It's actually a bottle of whiskey, because I was trying to decide. So I got some wine. I was quite happy with that. I thought, yeah, that's fine. I'll get a bottle of whiskey, because it was for this big dinner party. And I picked this one up, and I thought, yeah, this looks kind of cool. Didn't check the price. Got to the checkout, and they thought, oh, okay, I just got to go and get this out, because it was just the box I took up. The actual whiskey wasn't in there. And they said, oh, you know how much it is? I said, yeah, sure. I had no idea what the price was. It turned out to be about 90 quid, and I thought, oh, no. But I didn't want to say at that point, oh, actually, no, that's too expensive. So I ended up just buying it and got home. I kind of didn't regret it that much, because it was nice, but at the same time, I thought, oh, what an idiot. I should have just put that down. But if you've obviously got this stuff on the label right in front of you, then you're kind of not going to make that.
You're just like me, though. Like, I get really scared to put things back, and so I'll pick up a bottle to read the label and then not understand what the label's saying, but then still go and buy it because I'm too nervous to admit that I haven't understood what kind of wine I'm picking up. And yeah, I'm exactly the same. But did you say that was to take to a friend for a dinner party or something?
Yeah, we were having a party at our house, yeah.
What a lovely thing to have. I'm sure everyone else was very appreciative.
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, though, most people coming weren't drinking that night. So
did you get the majority?
Well, yeah, that was good. Also, my dad and brother came down the next weekend, so it was ideal for them. They thought, and also... Oh no, they'll know now, but I told them that it was just for them as well, so...
Oh, that's nice. So you had a wee dram all together, that's lovely.
Yeah, exactly, that's it. I wish I kind of knew more about the whole kind of... how people, if you know what you're doing in wine, I don't know, well, judging from this research, probably a lot of people are just pretending they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But, when you kind of swirl the glass and stuff like that, I wish I kind of knew a bit more about doing things like that to appreciate wine properly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's things like putting a lot of effort into cooking and then not picking the right wine to complement the meal and stuff like that. I just love to be so much better on, because then you get so much more enjoyment out of it. But the other thing I've definitely kind of realised today is if you like something, there will be other options that are similar, and you don't have to know everything about wine to find another option that you enjoy just as much as the one that you're used to. And so while I think it would be lovely to sit at a dinner table and kind of be able to talk at length about wine, I don't think that's realistic in the short term. I think that's a lifetime's work of lots of lovely wine tours, perhaps. But
it doesn't mean that you can't pick something new and try something different that you will enjoy. So I feel quite a lot better now that I can maybe branch out a bit more from my usual bottles and still pick something that I like.
And surely by just trying so many, new different wines and branching up, you will build up a kind of knowledge base on it, and actually you might become a wine connoisseur.
yeah, hopefully. I do think it's like years and years of work. Like everything I'm hearing today, I'm just fascinated by all the different regions and different types of grape. But I know that's coming from the experts, and that's brilliant. But what you kind of want is a way of getting that expert opinion in a simple manner so that you can make an informed choice. And I guess that's what these labels are all about. They're giving you like the key information that means you know what you're getting from your bottle of wine. And maybe I feel like I'm building up a bit of knowledge as well at the same time, because the information's there in a way that I can understand it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it does. It just genuinely feels a bit more approachable. I feel a bit more kind of invited into the wine world, which is lovely.
No, that's fantastic. Well, thanks very much, Camilla. I really enjoyed chatting to you today, and that's fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much. It was lovely to chat.
Thanks, Camilla. I'll get on Toto now as well, so don't you worry. That's coming on full volume.
yes. Best song ever. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Camilla. Bye.
Bye.
What a tune. What a request. Thank you, Camilla. Absolutely fantastic. Well, you know what? It was awesome chatting to Camilla. Thanks very much to Camilla Thurlow for coming on the show. It was a pleasure to have you and to chat about wine, of course. I kind of think I'm a bit of a moron when it comes to wine, but you know what? Camilla was very nice to me, wasn't she? So it's fine. Anyway, you know what? I think it's probably time to get some more fantastic guests on. How about we get on Joe Wicks now? As I said, Joe is, also known as The Body Coach. You might have caught his cooking and fitness books, actually. You can get them in pretty much any major supermarket. And a bit of a YouTube star as well, because he's got tons of fitness videos there on YouTube. So he's definitely a man to follow, really, if you're into that kind of thing. And today he's actually teamed up with a recipe box company, because he believes it kind of works very well with his brand and basically helps his clients get in shape. It's a healthy way of doing things. So maybe something to check out for you if you're interested. But anyway, I'm going to get them on now, and I'm going to have to leave this bit in there. But I suppose it is a bit, I don't know, you're going to think, oh, Ben, oh, yeah. I mean, I had to get a bit of a shout out for my partner, Steph, from Joe, because Steph's a bit of a fan of Joe, and I think if you Google him, I think you'll probably know why. He's a very, very attractive man, I'm going to have to admit that. Anyway, here he is. He's chatting today with a nutritionist, so I'm delighted to get them both on. Here they are, anyway. Very pleased to have you both. Thanks for doing this. And Joe, I must say, you're actually a very familiar face in our household. My girlfriend does your 9-minute abs workout every night, so...
Oh, brilliant. She does like 7 or 6 or 5-minute abs.
Yeah,
I've got
exactly.
I did a 5-minute abs, 6 minutes, 7 minute, 8 and 9. And I think the most popular one was 9, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why, but 9 is the favourite, apparently. I'm going to have to ask you, Joe, this is cheeky, but could you give her a quick shout-out? She'll be furious if I don't ask this, and I've got you on the radio today. Her name's Steph.
What's her name?
Her name's Steph.
Hello, Steph. This is a little motivational message from Joe Wicks, the Body Coach, just to say thank you for doing my 9-minute abs. Keep it up, and keep it lean in 15.
Oh, perfect. Thanks, Joe. Absolutely ideal. So let's talk a little bit about this recipe box company Gusto, because it looks like from some of this market research actually I've got in front of me here that people actually do struggle. And I know, I'm afraid I'm going to have to admit, I do fall into this category, although I'm trying to make improvements. But we'll talk about that later maybe. But anyway, a lot of people do struggle with, ensuring that they're having home-cooked meals and healthy meals. And even if people are thinking they're being healthy, actually it looks like a lot of Brits are quite unsure, and I must admit that I fall straight into this category too, actually. A lot of Brits don't really understand exactly what the recommended daily quantities of various things are and things. And I'll just hand it over to you both, because it sounds like a great thing for people to hear about, actually, just an easy way to make sure that they are, eating healthily at home.
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting findings from the Gusto report was that actually 85% of people felt that they could eat more healthy. And I think that's really key, is that a lot of people want to improve their diet, but actually sometimes it's about barriers and time and motivation that is actually stopping them from doing that. So, I think it's really key that a lot of us know what we should be doing and how we can improve it, but actually it doesn't actually work out in reality. And there's so many ways that you can improve your diet. You can, try little tips and hacks, or try out things like new ingredients or new recipes that can help you to improve what you're eating and the variety you're eating.
Thanks, Charlotte. And in terms of your kind of view on this, Joe, of course, as the body coach, of course, I'm sure diet is probably an absolutely essential aspect of anyone's life if they're thinking of getting in shape as well, right?
Yeah, it's so important, and one of my philosophies is you can't out-train a bad diet. So even if you're, exercising regularly, but you're eating awful food, it's going to be very difficult to achieve a healthy body. So I'm a big fan of, home workouts, and obviously my body coach YouTube channel, but also home cooking. And I do believe that, people can find 15 minutes, and once you build the confidence up and you start, it's actually really enjoyable, getting your kids involved and cooking different things every week and trying out new stuff. Like, it's just about getting in there, giving it a go, and once you start, momentum will carry you the rest of the way.
Yeah, so I suppose, what's kind of really useful for people is just anything that makes it easier to do that, basically. Because, obviously in an ideal world, everyone would always cook fresh meals at home, but I suppose the difficulty is, everyone leads busy lives and things. I'm sure you come across this all the time with your clients, Joe, struggling to do it properly, basically, to eat properly. And Charlotte, yourself as a nutritionist, I'm sure this is something which you're always trying to press, right, the importance of eating properly. But I suppose it just, busy lives get in the way, so anything that can make that easier, I suppose, is just awesome.
Yeah, well, more than 1 in 5 people eat a microwave or ready meal 3 times a week or more, so that obviously isn't a great stat, but people are wanting to eat healthier, but the biggest thing is time and convenience, and, they're grabbing, their meal, their kind of, takeaways, kebabs, ready meals, microwave dinners, so it's about just giving them the confidence, giving them the tools, and making it easy and accessible. So things like recipe boxes with Gusto that deliver to your door, it makes life easier.
And also, I'd add to that, one of the things I think we've got away from is enjoying food. I absolutely love food. It's such an important part of my day, and I think Joe would say the same. And it's just about trying to get people back into understanding that food is not just there to fuel you through your day. Food is there as enjoyment. It's there to help you get nutrients in. It's there to help you care for and look after your body. So we want people to have fun and find cooking meals easy and enjoyable as well.
And we went to visit some of our really good friends. Actually, they have a place in Dartmouth. I'm very jealous of their place. Actually, it overlooks the harbour in Dartmouth. Beautiful place. And they actually cooked us they're having a little dinner party. They cooked us a meal using a recipe box, and it was amazing. It was so good. We just sat down. I mean, I'm afraid we did have a cheeky glass of wine, but just one, Joe. Don't be furious. Just one glass, and it was lovely.
You got to enjoy a glass of wine, mate.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
Yeah, it was really nice. So I just do urge our listeners to check out, the idea of using recipe boxes, because I guess it just really does make things easier for a lot of people.
Well, almost a quarter of people say they struggle with inspiration when cooking. So, the great thing about Gusto is every week 30 new recipes. You're never running out of ideas. You're always getting new things, and it's just. I love cooking, but I also like just coming in and knowing I ain't got to think about it. I just follow the recipe, and at the end of it, you got a banging meal that's big, fills you up, and you ain't got to worry about it. It's lovely.
And it can be great for confidence as well. So for people who aren't sure about cooking or how to use different herbs and spices, it's literally a guide that takes you through step by step. And I love the fact that they have the ranges such as a 10-minute meal range, gluten-free range, vegetarian range, which is brilliant because there's literally something for everybody, especially families, and if you're trying to feed a family.
Perfect. Sounds like a great way that people can, get really interested in cooking as well. And perhaps if they've kind of, lost the love of cooking or anything like that because of time constraints or anything, then we can reignite the fire, right? By getting all these recipes together, eat nice and easy, have a play with all the different herbs and spices. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'd love to see that happening more.
Do you know what I love as well? Like when I go shop and I grab a broccoli, think I'm going to use that. I call it a midget tree, by the way, broccoli. And the amount of times it just sits there looking all sorry for itself, wilted, thrown in the bin, where, the recipe boxes, you should use every single ingredient, nothing goes to waste, and that's an important thing for the environment and, for saving money. So it really is, it's so many advantages of doing it.
Definitely.
I love that midget tree. That's an amazing thing to call broccoli. I'm going to start using that, Joe, if you don't mind. Is that all right?
Yeah, go for it.
No, but that's a really good point about wastage, of course. Being green is obviously getting so important, and it's always getting more and more important, isn't it? So, minimising food waste is a really good point, actually, there, that you just raised.
Yeah, it really is, and I think people have become more conscious, and everyone wants to make a little bit of an effort now towards the environment and their health, and in terms of also animals and meat and eating veg and meat. Like, I eat a lot of meat still, but I'm actually reducing it, and so there's lovely vegetarian recipes which I've been trying out, and it's just making me get more veg in my diet and making me basically healthier.
Oh, fantastic! And Joe and Charlotte, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you: is there any kind of serious food crimes that people should be avoiding? Because I can tell that there will be some. You might not want to say because you don't want to be mean to us, but because I can see the salt thing, that might be particularly bad if people are having too much salt. But are there particular crimes that people should avoid?
Do you know what I think is a crime? I think it's a crime when people are overly restricting the foods that they're eating and thinking about food, in terms of just numbers and calories. Actually, food is so much more than that. It is about enjoyment. It's about social occasions. So, for me, I think it is a crime when people are overly restricting, overly dieting, going on kind of, fad diets over and over again. And I've seen this a lot. It just isn't healthful. It's about, putting meals together, enjoying cooking and enjoying the food you're eating. So for me, that's what I would say. And I don't think anything should be off the table. So you mentioned a glass of wine. Enjoy a glass of wine. Enjoy, a milkshake or some ice cream or whatever it is. But it's just about thinking about the context of your diet as a whole rather than thinking about those individual foods.
No, that's a great point. Thanks, Charlotte. And Joe, do you have a serious food crime or?
I suppose the main thing for me is just the long-term career dieting of low-calorie diets and that vicious cycle of, losing weight, gaining weight. It's not a nice way to live. So I just try and teach people to focus on, the quality of the food you're eating and not obsess about counting calories. And you can just live a happier life because food is such a big part of my life. And I think once people get into that and realise they can actually eat quite a lot more than they think and still stay fit and lean, as long as they're eating the right stuff, then you can have yourself a treat or a bit of ice cream or gin and tonic. So it's about balance and enjoying your cooking. And once you do that, there's no going back. You won't go back to ready meals and microwave dinners all the time.
Oh, sweet. Well, thanks very much, both. I'd love just to get a couple more things in before I do let you go, if that's all right. And I suppose I'd love to just point listeners in the direction of a bit more information, first of all, if they can, if they like the idea of trying out some recipe boxes. Have you got a link to hand that we could put out there for our listeners?
Yep, so if you want to find out more about Gusto recipe boxes, visit gusto.co.uk and it's spelled Gousto.
Nice, thanks. And Joe, do you have very quickly just a quick workout idea for anyone listening in as well? I mean, you could head them over to the 9-minute abs workout or perhaps one of the 5-minute abs workout that could be risky. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. So if you want a bit of inspiration for exercise this week, check out my YouTube channel. It's called The Body Coach TV. There's loads of workouts from 15 minutes to 25 minutes, and I guarantee you'll give it a go. It's going to make you feel awesome, and you'll have a lovely day afterwards.
Sweet. Well, thanks, Joe, and thanks, Charlotte, too. Last question then before I let you go, and that is just song choices. Yep, that's right. You both get a song choice. This is the coolest part. You can choose absolutely anything. I'd love to get a song on the show for you today. Can I interest you at all in a song choice?
Yeah, so I'm obsessed at the moment with Camilla Motown and just old kind of music like that. So I've been listening to a lot of Stevie Wonder and Al Green. So one of my favourite Stevie Wonder tunes of all time is Superstition. So can I have that?
Oh, of course you can. That's an amazing choice, Joe.
Perfect.
I knew it. I knew you'd like music like that. That's fantastic. Perfect. Charlotte,
and
what about
I'm going to go with one that my son is absolutely obsessed with at the moment, which is Wouldn't It Be Nice by the Beach Boys. Nice and jolly one.
Yes, nice one, Charlotte. Yeah, perfect. Okay, put it out there for your son then in that case. Bit of a shout out. Fantastic. Well, thanks to you both for coming on the show. Just double check you're all happy before I let you go, basically.
Yeah.
Yep, we're all happy here. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks both.
Take care. Cheers, Ben. Bye-bye.
Good morning, Ben Hotline.
Thursday breakfast on Source FM.
Well, that's it. It has come to the end of another Thursday breakfast show. Thank you very much indeed for tuning in this morning. Absolute pleasure to have you here with me. And thank you to all of my very special guests this morning. Thank you to Rylan Clark-Neal, the fabulous presenter who will soon be a DJ on BBC as well. So pretty cool. And thank you very much to space scientist today, Dr. Suzanne Imber, of course, winner of that BBC Two programme, Astronauts, Have You Got What It Takes? It was fantastic having Suzanne on the show. Thank you also to Love Island's Camilla Thurlow. We're chatting about wines this morning as well. And thank you to body coach Joe Wicks and, of course, nutritionist Charlotte Reed, who we heard from just now. Now, of course, next week I will be here with you 7:30 till 9 o'clock on Thursday here on Source FM.